1240. March. The city of Kiev. 40,000 warriors stand on the walls. Stone fortifications that took generations to build. Behind them, 200,000 souls. Women, children, the elderly clutching prayer beads. They're ready. They've heard the stories. Whispers carried by terrified refugees. Tales that make no sense. Cities that opened their gates without a fight. Fortresses that crumbled like sandcastles. But Kiev? Kiev is different, or so they tell themselves. You think you know how wars are won. Steel against steel. Courage against fear. You're wrong. What if I told you there was a weapon more devastating than any siege engine? A weapon that required no ammunition, no soldiers, no blood. What if I told you the Mongols discovered how to make cities destroy themselves? Not with catapults, not with fire, with something far more terrifying. Rumors, but not just any rumors. Engineered nightmares, calculated terror, psychological warfare, so sophisticated that modern military academies still study it 800 years later. Here's what you need to understand. The Mongols didn't just conquer the largest land empire in human history through superior tactics. They did something that should be impossible. They made fear itself into a living weapon that traveled faster than their horses, that killed more efficiently than their arrows, that broke civilizations without breaking a sweat. How do you fight an enemy that turns your own mind against you? How do you defend a city when the walls are solid but your certainty crumbles? And here's the question that will haunt you. What did the Mongols know about human psychology that we're only now beginning to understand? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover will change how you see power, how you understand fear, how you comprehend the invisible weapons that shape history. March 10th, 1240. The Mongol horde surrounds Kiev, but something's wrong. The defenders feel it. A creeping wrongness that crawls up their spines. The Mongols aren't attacking. They're just watching. Prince Mikhail surveys his forces. 40,000 trained warriors. The walls are 30 feet high, 10 feet thick. This city has never fallen. Never. His advisors whisper reassurances. The Mongols are nomads, horse archers. They don't know siege warfare. Winter is coming. They'll starve. They'll leave. But Prince Mikhail has heard other things. 3 months ago, the city of Chernigov stood defiant. 30,000 defenders. Wars almost as formidable as Kiev's. The Mongols arrived. They didn't attack immediately. They sent envoys. Not with surrender demands. With stories. Stories about Ryazan, about Kozelsk, about Vladimir Suzdal. Cities that no longer existed. The envoys spoke softly, almost apologetically. They described things in such detail. The sound a gate makes when it splinters. The exact number of hours it took for walls to fall. The streets running red. The pyramids of skulls. Numbers so specific they couldn't possibly be exaggerated. 70,000 dead in Ryazan. Every single person. 63 days of siege in Kozelsk. A city so thoroughly erased that even its location was forgotten. The defenders of Chernigov laughed. Propaganda. Gada. Exaggeration. But then the refugees arrived, hollow-eyed, stumbling, broken. They'd seen Ryazan. They'd fled from Vladimir. They spoke in whispers. When pressed for details, they wept. Strong men. Warriors. Reduced to trembling children. Something about what they'd witnessed had shattered them. Chernigov held for 9 days. On the 10th day, the gates opened from the inside. Not because the walls were breached. Not because they ran out of food. The gates opened because something broke inside the defenders. Some collective madness that made dying seem preferable to waiting. Prince Mikhail knows this. He's spoken to survivors. 3 men, out of 30,000. One grabbed Mikhail's arm. "Don't let them start the drums," he whispered. "Whatever you do, don't let them start the drums." "What drums?" The man's eyes went empty. He stopped speaking. 3 months later, he still sits in a monastery, rocking back and forth, hands over his ears, blocking sounds only he can hear. Now the Mongols surround Kiev. 60,000 riders. Maybe more. It's hard to count them. They move like liquid shadow, and they're not attacking. They're building something. All along the perimeter, the Mongols construct platforms, stages. The defenders squint through morning mist, try to understand. Then the drums start. Not war drums. Something else. A rhythm that doesn't match any music the defenders know. low, resonant, a pulse that seems to bypass the ears and vibrate directly in the chest. Boom, boom, boom. Steady, hypnotic, impossible to ignore. A young soldier laughs nervously. That's it? That's their weapon? Drums? His captain doesn't laugh. Something about that rhythm makes his thoughts scatter, makes concentration difficult. The boom 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 becomes a metronome his heartbeat tries to match. Then the Mongols do something impossible. They retreat. Not all of them, but thousands pack up, right away, heading south. The defenders watch in confusion, in hope. Are they leaving? But 5,000 remain, a token force. Nowhere near enough to threaten a city this size. Prince Mikhail should feel relieved. Instead, dread pools in his stomach, because he realizes this is part of the plan. The Mongols who rode away aren't retreating. They're going to the smaller towns, the villages, places with maybe 500 defenders, maybe less. And what will happen to those places? What stories will the survivors bring back? If there are survivors. The drums continue. Boom, 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 all day, all night, never stopping. The defenders try to ignore it. But you can't ignore a sound that resonates in your bones. That was designed impossibly to bypass rational thought and speak directly to the primitive brain. How did 13th century warriors understand acoustic warfare? How did they know the exact rhythm that induces psychological stress? This is just the beginning, because in 72 hours, the refugees will start arriving, and they'll bring stories that will make grown men weep. 3 days later, March 13th, the first refugees arrive, from the village of Putival, population 800, defended by 200 militia. 12 people made it out. They stumble through Kiev's gates like ghosts, covered in ash, in blood. Their eyes don't focus. They can't speak. Prince Mikhail visits them, kneels beside a woman clutching a child. What happened? The woman's mouth opens, closes. Finally, a whisper. They knew our names. What? They knew our names. All of them, every person in the village. They called out to us, told us what we had for breakfast, described our children, our secrets. Impossible. They knew everything. The mayor's affair, the baker's gambling debts. They shouted it from outside the walls for hours. Just facts, personal facts. Things only we should know, the child whispers. They knew my name. They said it would be quick. A 7-year-old. Speaking with the flat affect of terminal trauma. Another refugee. A man missing his left hand. The stones they launched weren't stones. They were pieces of people. From other villages, we recognized faces. They launched our friends at us. How long did you hold? 4 hours. 4 hours. 200 defenders. We opened the gates ourselves. We had to make it stop. The way they knew things. It felt like they could see inside our minds, like God had abandoned us. Over the next week, more refugees arrive, from 6 villages. All with identical stories, all broken the same way. The Mongols didn't just defeat these places, they unmade them, psychologically disassembled them piece by piece. And the stories spread through Kiev like plague, in the taverns, the markets. Did you hear what happened at Putival? They say the Mongols can read minds. They say they have demons. Prince Mikhail tries to stop it, issues orders. Anyone spreading panic will be imprisoned. It doesn't work. Fear doesn't obey orders. Fear is alive. And the Mongols have engineered a strain so virulent that no quarantine can contain it. The drums continue, day and night. Boom, 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 never stopping. Some defenders on the walls start swaying to the rhythm, unconsciously. One soldier tries to desert. I just needed to make the sound stop, he sobs. It's inside my head. They execute him. 3 more try the next night. Then the Mongols send envoys, not with demands, with gifts. Silk, spices, gold. The envoys are polite, almost apologetic. They speak perfect Russian. How? The lead envoy introduces himself. Batu Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan. We have no desire to harm Kiev. This city is magnificent. We've brought gifts as a gesture of respect. Prince Mikhail meets him at the gate, then leave. Batu smiles. It doesn't reach his eyes. We will, soon. But first, we wanted to ensure you understand something important. The drums continue behind him. Every city has a choice. Resistance or accommodation. Those who accommodate prosper. Those who resist, he trails off. You've met the refugees. Lies. Are they? Let me tell you something true. In your city, there's a baker named Dmitri, Street of Flowers, third house. He has a daughter, Anna, 14. She meets a boy in secret. Behind the old church on Thursdays, the blood drains from Mikhail's face. How? Batu continues. There's a priest, Father Konstantin, embezzling church coffers, 20 silver coins over 3 years. A merchant who waters down his wine. His wife is having an affair with the blacksmith's apprentice. Stop. A captain of your guard. Grigory. Brave. Loyal. But he has doubts. Wonders if dying for these walls is worth it. Thinks about his children. Mikhail's hands shake. These impossibly specific details. How? Batu leans closer. We've been watching Kiev for 6 months. We sent people. They lived among you, worked in your markets, drank in your taverns. We know everything, every weakness, every fear, every doubt. He straightens. We know about the grain shortage you're hiding, the sickness in the eastern quarter, the nobles who want to surrender, the weakness in the northern wall where water damage has compromised the foundation. Each fact lands like a physical blow. True, all true. Here's what happens next. 7 days. We're going to take Vishhorod, 20 miles north, 10,000 people, good walls. We're going to take it in less than a day, without siege towers, without rams. Your scouts will watch. He pauses. And then you'll understand. Walls don't matter. Numbers don't matter. You cannot win. You can only choose how you lose. He turns to leave. Stops. Oh, Prince Mikhail, your son, Judy. 8 years old, afraid of the dark, sleeps with a wooden horse you carved him. We know these things. We know everything. The envoys ride away. That night, Mikhail doesn't sleep. His mind races. How many spies? Who are they? The baker, who sells him bread is that a Mongol agent? The servant? The guard? Trust evaporates. If the enemy knows everything, how do you plan? And the drums. Boom, boom, boom. Inside his head now, even when he covers his ears. Inescapable. On the 7th day, scouts return from Vishhorod. They're pale, shaking. It's gone. The whole city. 11 hours. Everyone inside just opened the gates. 10,000 people. Surrendered. What did the Mongols do? The scout's voice drops to a whisper. They sang. All night. Lullabies. Children's songs. Songs about home. Mixed with the drums. Made sounds that made you want to cry, want to sleep, want to stop fighting. He pauses. And they had prisoners calling out, "It's your brother! I'm alive! Just open the gates! It's not worth dying!" Over and over, hundreds of voices. People you knew. People you trusted. Were they tortured? That's the thing. They seemed genuine. Like they'd been broken so completely they believed it. Like surrender was salvation. The scout meets Mikhail's eyes. They're not conquering cities. They're conquering minds. And I don't think we can win against that. March 20th, day 17 of the siege. Kiev is dying from the inside. No Mongol has fired an arrow. No siege tower has touched the walls. But the city is collapsing anyway. It starts small. Fights in the streets. A merchant accuses his neighbor of being a Mongol spy. Why? Because he asked too many questions. Because he seemed too calm. They beat him to death in the market square. 17 men kicking, until nothing remains but meat and bone. His wife screams that he's innocent. They beat her too. The next day, 3 more. Spies are discovered, executed without trial, without evidence. Just paranoid certainty. Prince Mikhail orders it stopped. But who enforces the order? Guards who suspect each other. The social fabric tears. Family turns on family. Brother suspects brother. The Mongols haven't entered the city, but their invisible fingers are inside every mind, pulling strings, watching the puppets destroy themselves. And still the drums. Boom! 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 17 days without silence. 17 nights without sleep. The human brain isn't designed for this. Sleep deprivation causes hallucinations. Paranoia. Psychosis. Defenders report seeing things. Shadow riders that vanish when you look directly at them. Voices calling their names from darkness. Are they real? Are they imagined? Does it matter? The effect is the same. Captain Grigory stands on the northern wall. He hasn't slept in 4 days. His eyes are red-rimmed. His hands shake. A young soldier asks a simple question about shift rotations. Grigory draws his sword. "You're one of them!" "What, sir? You asked about rotations. You want to know when the wall is weakest." The sword goes through the boy's throat. He dies choking, eyes wide with betrayal. 10 soldiers witness it. No one stops Grigory. Because maybe he's right. Maybe the boy was a spy. How can you know? How can you ever know? The infection of distrust spreads. In the palace, the nobles meet. The same arguments. Defend the city. Surrender the city. Wait for relief. Negotiate terms. But today something changes. Lord Volodymyr stands, 60 years old, fought in a dozen wars, scarred, seasoned, unbreakable. Or so everyone thought. We need to talk about reality. The Mongols have taken 14 cities in 6 months. Cities with better walls than ours. They've never lost. Not once. Why do we think we're different? Because we are Kiev. Another noble shouts. The mother of Russian cities! Names don't stop arrows. History doesn't feed starving people. Pride doesn't heal the sick. Silence. Heavy. Dangerous. What are you saying? I'm saying we should consider their offer. Open the gates. Accept Mongol suzerainty. Pay tribute. Survive. The room erupts. Traitor. Coward. 3 nobles draw swords. 2 more join Volodymyr's position. And this is exactly what the Mongols planned. They don't need to breach the walls. They need to make the defenders breach themselves. Turn allies into enemies. Transform unity into fracture. Make surrender seem not like defeat, but like wisdom. Outside, the Mongols watch. Waiting, patient as death. They've done this 47 times. They know exactly how it unfolds. The timeline, the progression, the inevitable collapse. Human psychology is predictable. Terror follows patterns. Break the pattern in the right places, and people break themselves. Day 20. The sickness spreads. Started in the eastern quarter. Fever, vomiting, weakness. Now it's in 5 districts. The physicians can't agree on what it is. Plague? Poisoned water? Doesn't matter. More death, more fear, more certainty that God has abandoned Kiev. And here's the question. Did the Mongols poison the water? Or is this just disease, amplified by stress, by the grinding psychological warfare that's destroyed everyone's immune system? You can't know. That's the genius. Every misfortune becomes a Mongol weapon. Every accident becomes enemy action. The Mongols don't need to do anything. The defenders attribute everything to them, give them supernatural power, which makes them unbeatable. Day 23. A soldier named Andrei stands on the eastern wall. He's 19. His father died at Ryazan. Andrei stares at the Mongol camp, at the men moving calmly through their routines. They don't seem worried. They act like victory is certain. And maybe it is. Andrei thinks about his mother. She's sick. The physicians say she won't last another week. He thinks about his sister, 13 years old. What happens to 13-year-old girls when cities fall? He's heard the stories. What the Mongols do to resistors, to their families. But he's also heard other stories, whispered, dangerous, about cities that surrendered peacefully, where the Mongols kept their word, where people lived, where children grew up. Are those stories true? Or propaganda? The drums boom, boom, boom. 23 days of that sound. 23 days without sleep, without hope. Andrei makes a decision. He's not the only one. That night, 17 soldiers desert. They go to the gates. The northern gate. They kill the guards. Quietly. With the numb precision of men who've already died inside. They open the gate. Just a crack. But Mikhail's loyal men discover them. A fight erupts. Swords in darkness. Screaming. The deserters are killed. All 17. Their bodies thrown from the walls. But the damage is done. Now everyone knows. There really are men inside who want to surrender. Men who kill their brothers to open the gates. Trust dies its final death. Every soldier eyes every other soldier. The city becomes a prison where everyone is both prisoner and warden. Day 27. Prince Mikhail walks through his city. It's unrecognizable. Streets empty. shops closed, bodies in alleys, disease, murder, suicide, the smell of decay, the sound of weeping from behind closed doors. This is Kiev, the glory of Rus, reduced to a tomb for the living. He sits alone in his chamber. The drums penetrate even here. Boom, 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 a metronome counting down to inevitable doom. He thinks about Batu's words. You can only choose how you lose. Is that true? Is defeat inevitable? Has it always been? His son appears. Juri, 8 years old, clutching his wooden horse, eyes wide with fear. Father, are the bad men going to hurt us? Mikhail opens his mouth, closes it. What does he say? No, son, I won't let them. But his voice cracks, and in that crack, Yuri hears the real answer. Yes, the bad men are coming, and father can't stop them. No one can. December 6th, 1240, day 31. The assembly meets for the final time. Every noble who remains alive, every priest, every guild master, 47 men who hold Kiev's fate in their trembling hands. Prince Mikhail stands before them. He's aged 20 years in 30 days. His hair has gone grey. His eyes are hollow. We have 4 choices. Fight until we're overrun. Starve until we're too weak to resist. Surrender unconditionally. Or negotiate terms. There are no terms with Mongols, Father Konstantin says. The priest whose secret Batu revealed. He's lost 30 pounds. Hasn't slept. Maybe there are, Lord Volodymyr counters. Novgorod negotiated. They paid tribute. They survived. Novgorod didn't fight. We've fought. We've killed their scouts. We're past negotiation. A younger noble stands abruptly. I've had enough of this cowardice. We have 40,000 men. They have 60,000. Those aren't impossible odds. We fight. Vedi if we must. But we die free. Murmurs of agreement. Some, not all. Free? Volodymyr's laugh is bitter. You think there's freedom in death? In your children's death? That's not freedom. That's pride masquerading as virtue. And surrender is virtue? Kneeling before savages? Survival is virtue, when the alternative is extinction. The argument spirals. Voices rise. Old grievances surface. The assembly fractures along a dozen fault lines. This is what psychological warfare does. It doesn't just break your will to fight. It breaks your ability to think clearly, to cooperate, to maintain the social cohesion that defense requires. Prince Mikhail watches it happen, powerless. The Mongols have turned his nobles into enemies of each other, have made every decision impossible, have created a situation where action and inaction are equally fatal. The genius is suffocating. Hours pass. No consensus. The meeting ends with nothing resolved. Just more division, more distrust. That night, Captain Grigory stands on the wall, alone, staring at the Mongol camp. He's killed 3 men in the past week. Suspected spies. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. The blood on his hands has stopped bothering him. He's hollow, empty except for the drumbeat inside his skull. Boom, boom, boom. A sound behind him. He spins, sword drawn. It's a Mongol, standing on Kiev's wall, alone, unarmed, smiling. Impossible. The walls are guarded. How? Hello, Grigory, the Mongol says. In perfect Russian. We need to talk. Grigory should shout, alert the guards. But his voice won't work. And part of him wants to hear what the enemy has to say. How did you? We've been inside your city for months. Did you really think we weren't? Your walls are porous. Your guards are tired. Getting in is easy. The Mongol sits on Kiev's wall, like he owns it. You're a good soldier, Grigory. Brave. Loyal. You've done terrible things to protect this city. Killed men who were probably innocent. It's eating you alive. Shut up. You think you're defending something noble. But look around. Is this noble? Tis paranoia. This mutual destruction. You're not fighting us anymore. You're fighting each other. Grigory's sword shakes. What do you want? To offer you a gift, an end to suffering. Tomorrow at dawn the assault begins. Real assault. Siege towers. Rams. Fire. We'll take the city in 6 hours. Then why tell me? The Mongol's smile fades. Something almost like compassion shows through. Because you can save lives. Open the northern gate. Just that one gate. We'll enter peacefully. No massacre. No rape, no torture. Your prince keeps his title. Your priests keep their churches. Life continues. Just under new management. That's treachery. That's survival. The city falls tomorrow regardless. The only question is how many die. How many children? How many mothers? You can reduce that number to almost zero. Or you can let pride kill everyone you love. The Mongol stands. How do I know you'll keep your word? You don't. But you know what happens if you refuse. You've seen Ryazan, you've met the refugees. You know exactly what we do to cities that resist to the end. He vanishes into shadow, like he was never there. But Grigory knows he was real, knows the offer was real, knows the choice is real, and he has until dawn to decide. Inside the palace, Prince Mikhail sits with his son. Yuri has fallen asleep in his arms, still clutching the wooden horse, still innocent. Mikhail thinks about the impossible situation, the unwinnable war, the enemy that knows everything, that planned everything, that turned his own people into weapons against each other. How do you fight that? His wife enters, sits beside him, takes his hand. She doesn't ask what he's decided. She already knows he hasn't decided, can't decide. What would you do? He whispers. She's quiet for a long time. Then, I'd think about him. She nods at Yuri. Not about glory, not about history, just him, and what gives him the best chance to grow up. Simple, devastating, true. Dawn approaches. The final dawn of independent Kiev. Whether that independence ends in negotiation or annihilation depends on choices made in the next few hours by men too tired, too broken, too traumatized to think clearly. The Mongols know this, planned this, engineered this. They've created a situation where every option is poison, where every choice leads to defeat. Captain Grigory walks toward the northern gate. His decision made. Or has it been made for him? Did he ever have free will, or did the Mongols strip that away 31 days ago when the drums first started? He reaches the gate. His hand touches the bar that holds it closed. Behind him, Kiev sleeps, or pretends to sleep. One movement, one action. Thousands of lives hang in the balance. Grigory closes his eyes, thinks of his children, his wife, the soldiers he commands, and the drums boom. Boom, boom, inside his head, inside every cell of his exhausted, terrorized, broken being. What does he choose? December 6th, 12:40, 5 minutes before dawn. Grigory's hand trembles on the gate bar. Behind him, footsteps. He turns. Prince Mikhail stands there, alone, no guards. Just a broken man facing another broken man. I know what you're thinking, Mikhail says quietly. Grigory's hand drops. My prince, don't apologize. I'm thinking it too. We're all thinking it. That's what they've done to us. Made surrender seem like mercy. Made betrayal seem like wisdom. Silence. The drums have stopped. For the first time in 31 days, silence. It's more terrifying than the sound, because silence means the performance is over. They're going to attack, Mikhail continues. At dawn, full assault. Batu sent word. Final offer. Open the gates or watch everyone die. Do you believe him? Does it matter? If we fight, we lose. If we surrender, we lose. But one way, some children live, some mothers live, some fragment of Kiev continues. Together, they lift the bar. The gate swings open. Smooth, still. As if it's been waiting for this moment, the Mongol army doesn't charge, doesn't rush. They enter slowly, calmly, like guests arriving at a banquet, like they knew the gates would open, like every moment of the past 31 days led inevitably to this. Batu Khan rides through first. He dismounts, approaches Mikhail. They stand face to face. A wise choice, Batu says. You've saved your city. Have I? More than you know. Kiev lives. Under new management, yes, but it lives. Your son will grow up. Your people will rebuild. He gestures. Mongol administrators enter. Scribes, tax collectors, governors. They've already prepared, already planned. The occupation was designed before the siege began. This is what terrifies Mikhail most. Not the violence, but the certainty, the absolute confidence, the sense that free will was an illusion. How? Mikhail whispers. How did you know we'd surrender? Batu smiles. Because everyone does. Eventually. Some take longer. Some fight harder. But human psychology is predictable. Apply enough pressure to enough points, and people break in calculable ways. You've done this before. 47 times, 47 cities. We've refined the technique, the timing, the specific fears to trigger. The exact moment when hope dies and pragmatism takes over. It's not magic. It's just understanding what humans are. He pauses. You held out longer than most. 31 days. Impressive. But the outcome was never in doubt. The only question was casualties. You chose wisely. Mongol soldiers fan through the city. But they're not pillaging, not burning. They're administrating, establishing order, setting up bureaucracy. It's almost anticlimactic. After 31 days of psychological torture, the actual conquest is boring. Paperwork, organization. But that's the genius. The Mongols don't need to destroy what they conquer. They need it functional, productive. So they break resistance without breaking infrastructure, break spirits without breaking bodies. News spreads through Kiev. The Mongols are inside. But no one's dying. No one's being tortured. Life continues. Adjusted, subordinated. But continues. Relief floods through the city like a drug. People emerge from homes, cautious, but alive. Their children alive. The nightmare is over. This is the final psychological weapon. Make the aftermath so much better than expected that people feel grateful. Grateful to their conquerors for not doing what they threatened. Within a week, Kiev functions normally. Markets open. Churches hold services. Children play in streets. Under Mongol administration. Paying Mongol taxes, but alive, surviving. Prince Mikhail remains prince, in title. His actual power stripped away. He's a figurehead, a familiar face to smooth the transition. Months pass. A year. Kiev becomes another tributary state, part of the vast Mongol Empire. The city that never fell surrendered after 31 days of psychological warfare. The story spreads, across Europe, across Asia, whispered in throne rooms. The Mongols have a weapon more powerful than cavalry. They can make cities destroy themselves, make defenders open their own gates. And here's what makes it impossible, what makes it miraculous. The Mongols were outnumbered. Kiev had 40,000 defenders. The Mongols had 60,000. Not overwhelming odds. Cities have held against worse. But numbers didn't matter. Because the Mongols understood something profound. Human psychology is hackable. Fear is contagious. Trust is fragile. Certainty crumbles under sustained pressure. And if you know exactly which psychological buttons to push, in exactly which sequence, at exactly which intervals, you can make people defeat themselves. They weaponized rumors, turned information into terror, made knowledge into a curse. They demonstrated that walls don't protect minds. That courage fails when you can't identify the threat. That the greatest fortress is useless if defenders lose faith in each other. This wasn't medieval warfare. This was something else. Something that wouldn't have a name for 600 years. Psychological operations, information warfare, cognitive manipulation at scale. How did 13th century nomadic warriors understand principles that modern militaries are still studying? How did they know acoustic frequencies that induce stress? How did they grasp information theory? How did they engineer fear with such precision? Some call it genius. Some call it evil. The Mongols themselves called it efficiency. Why waste arrows when words work better? Why lose soldiers when fear kills for free? Kiev stands today, 800 years later. Visitors walk its ancient streets. But few know about those 31 days in 1240. When the greatest city in Rus collapsed, not from siege engines, but from engineered terror. The lesson echoes through history, defied logic, challenged everything we thought we knew about power and conquest. The Mongols proved something impossible, something that shouldn't work, something that defied every military principle. They proved that the mind is the weakest fortress and the strongest weapon. They proved that you don't conquer cities, you conquer certainty. And once certainty falls, the gates open themselves. They proved that the most devastating warfare leaves no bodies, just broken spirits, just opened gates, just the hollow-eyed acknowledgement that resistance was always futile. The drums have been silent for 8 centuries, but their echo remains. In every psychological operation, every information campaign, every moment when fear spreads faster than truth. The Mongols didn't just conquer an empire, they conquered the invisible battlefield inside human consciousness. And that conquest never ended. It just evolved, changed form. The tactics that broke Kiev in 1240 work today, work tomorrow, will work forever, because human psychology hasn't changed. The buttons still exist, the weaknesses remain. The fortress of the mind still crumbles under the right pressure. That's the real miracle, the impossible truth. Not that the Mongols won, but that they discovered something eternal, something that transcends time and technology. They found the cheat code to human nature. And once you know that code, walls become irrelevant, armies become optional, victory becomes inevitable. Kiev fell in 31 days, without a real battle, without a breach, with nothing but rumors, drums, and the systematic destruction of trust. The greatest psychological warfare campaign in history. Impossible, unbelievable, supernatural in its efficiency, and absolutely, terrifyingly real.